Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Yeah, so hope you can all hear me from your end. Yeah, so let me take this opportunity to welcome you to our session today. So I'm hoping you've had a great day at work. So yesterday we looked at tables and pivot tables in Power BI. So today we are going to look at a bit different thing. So we are going to look at how we can do data cleaning in Power BI. And in that regard, we learn about Power Query. We also learn how we can import data from our website. Uh, so far we've been importing data from an Excel workbook. So we'll try importing it from our website and see how the whole procedure of data importation into Power BI goes. Yeah, so let's start. So I'm in my Power BI desktop, and what we want to do, we want to import data from our website.
Friend, let me ask something that have been maybe like what do you call it? You, how do you save it?
Saving your work is easy, so you simply go to File, right? So when you are in File, you have this option for Open, Save, Save As, Share, Get Data, Import, and Export. So you go to Save As. So when you go to Save As, so you see at the bottom left, so Save As, we have this browse this device. So when you click on browse this device, it will take you to your machine, to the files on your machine. So you'll select where you want to save your work. So for instance, this I can save it here, and let me save it as data cleaning. Data cleaning in Power BI, like this.
That browsing part is where the challenge. And then again, are we going to use this share? There's a data that you've shared on WhatsApp. Is that what you're going to use for today?
Yeah, you can download that data set.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but before we can import that, let us first see how you can import data from a different data source. So, as I said earlier, you can import data from various sources. So we just looked at Excel workbook. So let us look, for instance, how you can import it from web. And with this, we are going to use the data.gov website. So on your browser, you can simply type data.gov. So this is our website. It's our public US website where you can get access to public data. Right. So if you want any data for free, you can visit this website. It is called data.gov website. Yeah, so it will bring you this page. So you will navigate to where we have the search bar. It is one. So you can see the number of data sets that are available. So the dataset that we are going to search for, I had chosen this dataset. This is failed bank list. So simply type on the search bar failed bank list like this, failed bank list, and then you search that dataset. Yeah, so this is you can see the search result. We have 282 dataset found for failed bank list. So we'll go with the first option, that is FDIC failed bank list, like that. So go navigate where we have the resources. So it's in the form of a comma separated value file. So we want to get a link for this CSV file so that we can import it in Power BI. So under download, you can right click and then you copy the link for that file. So that is the link that we've copied. So we'll go back to Power BI, then go to get data from our website. So simply give it time, it will load. So when you select from our web, you'll be prompted to enter the URL. So we'll paste the URL that we've just copied. So that's the URL. So click on OK. So it is connecting. Yeah. So what you are seeing now, it has connected to that website. And what you are now seeing, this is what is called the preview or the navigator window, whereby you can preview your data before you can load it into Power BI. So this is the navigator window. So at this stage, this is where now you check the integrity of your data. You check whether your data is clean, whether it is in the right form, and so on before you can import it. So if the data is not in the right format, you simply click on transform data so that you can manipulate it before loading it into Power BI. Yeah, so all of us are there. So let's click on transform data.
Okay, sorry, not yet. So when you click on get data,
From web.
Sorry, my internet is a bit slow, so I'm still at the .gov. So I want to know where you go when you your website.
So when you are at this point, so you search. So hope you are in this page. So under the search bar, you search for this data set. This is a failed,
Yes.
yes, failed bank list. And then you search. So choose the first option. This is failed bank list. Just click on it. And then navigate to where we have the downloads and resources. Then under download, right click and click on copy link. Copy link address. Yes. So so get data, then go to select website and then paste the URL there. So have you seen where it has prompted you to put the URL? Yeah, simply paste that URL there. What options are you seeing after you've done that? Connect. Okay. So make sure you click on transform data. Hope now all of us we are here. So you go to transform data. So this is what is now called, this is called the Power Query window, and it's at this point whereby you can transform your data or you can clean your data. So hope we've interacted with it before. On the left panel, you have a section for queries. For instance, if we imported like two data sets, you'll see here it's written two queries. So right now, we've just imported this one data set that you see. That's why you are seeing the number of queries we've done. It's just one. So this is at the center, this is the preview window whereby you can see the whole of your data. And then to your right is the applied step pane. So this is what Power Query does. Every change that you make is recorded under the applied steps. Yeah. For instance, if we change maybe the format of a field or of a variable, it will appear under applied steps. So it keeps track of the changes that you are making in this data. So just above apply steps, we have the name of the dataset that we imported. That is a bank list. You can change maybe to failed bank list. So this is a list of US banks that failed in various years. Yeah. So all our all our steps will be recorded this section, and then let's get familiar with the ribbon. So after we've made the changes that we want, it will if you want now for those changes to be effected, you will go under the home tab and simply click on close and apply. So when you do that, all the changes that you've made in your data will be applied, and after that it will load that transform data into Power BI, right? So we still also have the option, for instance, if you want to add new columns in your data, you can go to add columns. So I believe we did this last time, whereby we added a conditional or column when we were calculating the number of attritions, and we were changing the field for yes or no with 1 and 0 respectively. So this is where if you wish to add an additional column, simply come to add column, right? So you can add various type of columns. So you can add a conditional column, you can add an index column or a duplicate column. So for instance, if you want to add an index column, this is for instance when you are adding a column that you want to use it as for instance a row ID, you can add an index column. So duplicate column, it's just you are replicating the existing column, and then you can still see we are having these other tabs that you see right now. They are grayed. So we have if for instance you are working with dates or with time, so we have this tab for date and time. So when for instance you click on date, you can see we are having year, month, quarter, week, day, and so on. So you can choose to transform maybe your data. So if you are dealing with a date field, and for instance you want to transform your data maybe to month alone, you want to extract a month from the date field, you simply come and click on month. Here the same thing applies to quarter, week, and day. So if you want to maybe transform maybe time, simply come time, click on it. So maybe I'm having a column that's having maybe a date and time, but I'm interested only in extracting the hour or the minute, the second. So I can simply do that from here. Same applies to duration. So let us again explore the transform tab. So this is a very important tab and you should be familiar with it. So there are instances when you import your data into Power BI, and for instance you load it into or you transform it using Power Query. There are instances whereby you won't have the column names, but for instance the way we've imported this data, you can see we are having the certificate number of bank, we are having the acquiring institution, the closing date as the top column fields. So there are instances whereby you want to transform your data, but you do not have the column headers. So you are having the first row that is having your header. For instance, we could be having this first row as our header. So, and here you could not be having any field names. You'll only be having the column names. So when your data is in that form, you come and choose this first option for using the first row as headers. So with that, you'll be able to add the column field names to your data by choosing the use the first row as header section. So we do have this option for transposing the data. So transposing means you are simply changing the rows to columns and vice versa, or columns to rows. So if you are having long data and you want to transpose it, you use this option. It's like that option for swapping when we were using Tableau. So this is transpose. When you want to reverse the rows, you can choose this option for reversing the rows. And then we have, when you want to count rows, you simply come on this option. And then going further, we have data type. So in Tableau, we saw we had various data types. For instance, we have numbers, we have strings, we have dates, and so on. So if you want to change the data type, for instance, maybe from a text to a number, you simply click on this, and when you click, you can see we have various options. So for instance, I want to change maybe the variables in a certain field to decimal numbers or whole numbers, percentages, date, and so on. So these are all data formats that are there. And then we have this option for detecting the data type. So if, for instance, you are unable to tell the type of data that you are having in a specific field or column, you can choose this option for detecting the data type. So you can choose detect data type. And then we have also beneath it, you can see we are also having the option for renaming. So you can rename maybe a column name. Yeah, only the column name you can name it. And then you can replace values. So if you are from Excel, hope you know this function, the one for replacing value, that's control find. So if you want to replace values in a certain column, you can simply come here, click on replace values. For instance, replace values or replace errors. Then we are also having the option for fill up and fill down. So if you want to maybe hope you know the autofill in Excel, when maybe you've inserted a formula in a cell and you want the formula to be applied to the rest of the cells. So you can choose this option, maybe to fill down or to fill up. So we have also the option for pivoting and unpivoting columns. And then we have this one for splitting columns. So splitting columns, if you ever interacted with Excel, so whenever you are splitting a column, so for instance, I'm having maybe date and maybe and time in one column, and I want to split it separately, so that I'm having date in one column and I'm having time in another column. So that's how I can split it. So if, for instance, I'm having this column for date and I want to split it, so I'll simply come here to split, and I'll choose now how I want to split it. So do I want to split it by a delimiter, by number of characters, by number of position, and so on? So it's upon you to choose on how you want to split your columns. So also we do have the option for extracting. So extracting, for instance, I'm having maybe a column that contains maybe employee names, yeah, and maybe I want to extract maybe certain number of characters from an employee name. So I'll simply come to extract, then extract first characters. Also, in extracting, you can either extract characters from the end or from the start. So if I want to extract the first 4 characters of a name, I choose first character. But if I want to extract last 3 characters, so I'll come here and choose last 3 characters. So I can also extract it by a delimiter. So if for instance, the first name and the last name, if it is separated by a delimiter, for instance, a comma, I'll choose separate it using text, but before a delimiter, or after a delimiter, or between delimiters, right? Yeah, so that's all on the transform tab. And then on the home tab, uh, you can see we had this tab for close and apply. This is used to apply the changes that you've made in your data. So another important thing is this for choosing the number of columns that you want to work with. For instance, if I've imported data and it contains maybe 100 columns, and I'm only interested in working with 20 columns. So I'll simply come here and select choose columns. So, and I can specify the number of columns that I want to work with, right? And then we have the option again for removing columns. So if I feel that there are columns that are irrelevant or that I might not use, so I may choose to remove those columns. So another option is the option for keeping rows. So you can decide, maybe I want to keep only the first 100 rows or the first 10 rows. Or you might decide you want to remove certain number of rows. So you will choose remove rows. And then we have this option for splitting columns. So splitting column just enables you to separate the data in a column. For instance, the example that I've just given, you are having maybe date and time in one column, and you want to split them separately, so that you're having date in one column and time in another column. So you'll simply come and choose split column, right? So I think we saw this for replacing values and using first rows as headers. Then on the top right, we have merging and appending queries. So merge queries enables you to join your data. So think of it like using joins in SQL or in Tableau, whereby you are having two data sets. There are two different data sets, but there is one common field that is linking the two data sets. So for you to be able to use the two data sets, you have to merge them using that one common field. So in that regard, you'll choose merge queries. Yeah, so merge queries will enable you to merge the two data sets, and you'll be able to utilize or to analyze the data that are in those two tables. So we also have this option for appending queries. So just think of appending as joining. So for instance, if you're having maybe sales data, let's say sales data for the month of January, and then at the end of the month or at the start of the another month, you receive maybe sales for February. So these sales for the 2 months, they have the fields are common, right? Fields are common and nothing is different. It's just an additional data set. So for you to combine these two data sets together, you will have to choose now append queries, right? Yeah. So that's it about the tabs that are on the ribbon. So now let's get to work. Now let us transform these data. Or is there a question up to that point before we begin? Yes, Rebecca.
This after selecting your data, after importing your data,
Yes.
did you apply? Did you upload, or you just left it
No.
to cleaning?
You select transform data.
Okay. Then the word data cleaning comes itself.
Now simply when you select transform data, it will open this window. This is the Power Query window, the one that you are seeing right now. So this is the Power Query window.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is where our data transformation takes place. So first of all, let us see how you can maybe select columns that you want to work with. For instance, let's say I'm only interested in working with certain number of columns. So I can choose the columns that I want to work with. So I can go to choose columns. So when I go to choose columns, it will indicate now, it will bring all the columns that are in this data set. So it is now my responsibility to select the columns that I want to work with, right? For instance, I want maybe the bank name, city, state, and the date the bank was closed. Right? After I've done that, I simply click on OK. Right? So I want you to take note what's happening on the applied steps. So the change that we've just made, it has been captured under applied steps. So it's saying remove other columns. So I've simply selected the columns that I want to work with, right? So it has been recorded. Okay, so let us do another transformation. So let us examine the data type. So, but one thing, if you want to undo what you have done, you simply click on this X, this cross, and you'll have all your columns. Right? So let's again look at each variable in detail and make sure that each variable on
Undoing.
you see this cross, just for instance, if you've made any change, it will be recorded under applied step, right?
Yes.
So you simply click on this cross.
Okay. So the original is the changed type, or is it the source, or is it the promoted headers?
So these are there by default, right?
Okay.
So when we loaded data into Power Query, so these were there by default. That before we could make any change, right? So the change we've just made, we were choosing the columns that we want to work with, right? So we can unselect and then select the columns that we are interested in, like that. So you see it has been added under applied steps. So you can, if you want to undo, you simply click on the X or on the cross, yeah. Yeah, so let us check the data type. So starting with the bank name. So this is a string variable, or it's a text, so it should be in the form of a string. So see how where you can change. These are places whereby you can change the data type. Just beside or to the left of the field name, so you can see the various data formats that you can choose from. So this is a text. City, again, it should be a text. State, the same way. And then certificate, that's a whole number, but let's simply change it to text. So replace current. So the change that we've just made, you can see it will appear under applied step. So for now, maybe you cannot see the applied step. So, but for you to view it, you can go to data source setting. You go to view query settings. So there it is. So acquiring institution, that should be a text. This one should be a date. So for now, it's in the right data format, a date. And then fund, this is a number. Yeah, so we've checked the data format for each variable or for each field.
Hi, Tony. How come when I press that, mine is not bringing those options of the data format?
Okay, I'm Fred. Okay,
I say it. I'm sorry.
Tony. Yeah, you said
Sorry.
Tony. Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay. So hope you can see these field names in Power.
Yes.
So just beside or to the left of each field name, so there's an option for changing the data format. So when you click on it, it will bring you these options.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Also facing the same predicament, which is the only table that we've changed.
Okay, so the first change that we made was changing the column, selecting the columns that we want to work with, right? We selected the columns that we wanted to work with, and then we checked the data format for each field. So, and to do that, you simply go to that field, and then to the left of each field, we have this option for changing the data types. So, and you can see all the type of data types that are there. So you choose from these options. Hope you are sorted, right? Okay, so there are various options for maybe changing the data type. So I think when you right click, what is it? So you see when you right click and for instance, if I select for instance the first column, that is the bank name, and I want to change the data type. So the first option was a shortcut. So you simply go to the left of each field or each column and simply select the data type that you want to be applied. So the second option is you select that column, you right click, and then you navigate or you scroll down to where we have change type. So under change type, you can see you can change to a decimal number, fixed number, whole number. So the options that we just had while using the first method. So you can also change it from there if you feel the first option isn't working for you, right? I hope we are okay up to that point. Yeah. So another transformation that maybe you can wish to implement is maybe changing the field names. That is renaming a column or renaming a variable. So for instance, let's say I want to rename a variable. Let's say this. So I select on that column, right click, and then navigate to where I have rename. It's here, rename. So rename, so I'll simply come and type here, for instance, name of acquiring institution. Institution, like that. So that's how you rename a column. So let's also do this. Maybe this is certificate number. So rename this as certificate number. So that's the transformation we've made, right? Yeah, so another thing you can do is adding maybe a duplicate column in your data. So let's say I want to duplicate the closing date column. So I simply select on that column, right click, and then click on duplicate column. So when you navigate to your far right, you will see we have a closing date column, but it's indicated it's a copy, right? It's a copy. So first of all, let's change it's supposed to be in the form of a date. So it's applying the change. Same here, it's supposed to be a date. So that is it. So this is let's say this is the duplicate column, but in this duplicate column I just want to show the year. So let me so it's date. So it's supposed to be a date. So I'm looking for the option of transforming that. So under date field, I want to change this to year. Right? So in this duplicate column, so instead of me having the closing date, I'll rename this to here. So come here, rename. This is here. Okay. So I'm simply undoing this. So we're having now the column for year. So hope you've seen how I've extracted now the year from the date, right? You can simply again do the same and extract month. So I can do this and then duplicate this column. So these are rename as, I want to change this maybe to only months. So months. So I'll go to Home tab. So first of all, let me apply that change. Then Home, transform, date. I want it to be month. So you can see under applied steps, whatever we've done. So we've extracted month from the date. Okay. So hope you are seeing how we are transforming our data. So previously we had data, so we've renamed columns, we've duplicated columns, we've changed the data format, and so on. So let us look at another thing for maybe merging columns. So merging columns, for instance, I'm having two columns. The first column is having the first name of an employee, and the second column is having the second name of the employee. So I want to have one column that has the employee name. It has both first and second name in one column. So what can I do when I have that in Power Query? So the solution is simply to merge. So how can you merge two columns in Power Query? So the first thing, you select the two columns. So I'll choose city. I'll choose city and state. So I want to merge these two columns together. So after doing that, I'll simply right click and go to this option where I have merge columns, right? So merge columns. So when you select merge columns, it will open for you this window whereby you have to choose how you want the two columns to be merged, and you have to choose the separator that will be separating the variables once you've added them. So let's say a space, or instead of space, let me just put a comma. Yes, so I want a comma to be the separator between the two fields. For instance, I'll be having city, state, so I want them to be separated with a comma. So after doing that, you simply do click on OK. Hope you are seeing now I'm having now a merged column that is written, the column name is merged, but when you see the contents of that column, you can see city and state has been merged together into one, and you can see what is separating the two. It's a comma, right? So that's how to merge two columns. So this is the merged column for city and state. City and state. Yes, what is that?
Fred,
Okay, it's possible if, for instance, we do a duplicate for the two columns, because once you've merged means you are putting everything together, so you're combining into one, so you won't have the original unless you create a copy of the two columns. But for instance, if now you wish now to separate the two, so I think that's where we are headed, whereby now we've merged the two columns into one. Now how can we separate them? So that I can be having state as a column on its own, and then I'm also having city as a column on its own. So to do that is quite simple. So given that I'm having, yes, yes, you can do that. And the way you can do that, I've said that any transformation that you are making when you are in Power Query, it is being recorded under applied step, and applied step is on the right. Hope you can see. And if at all you are not seeing the applied steps, right? If you are not seeing the applied step, you simply go to the View tab, right? And go to Query Settings. So when you are in query, when you click on Query Setting, it will bring you the applied step window. So in the applied step, all transformations that you do are being recorded. For instance, if you've made a change and you feel that you want to undo, you simply come under applied step and click on the cross, right? And by doing that, you would have undone what you did. Hope you're together.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So we've brought these two columns together. But now let's see how we can now split them again into two, so that we are having them as two separate columns. So what we'll do, you simply select on that column, right click, and navigate down to where we have split column. So when you hover over split column, so it will bring you these options for splitting. Either you want to split it by a delimiter or number of characters, by position, lower uppercase. So we have those options listed there. So we have those options for split column. So as you can see, this column, we've splitted it by a comma, and a comma is what? It's a delimiter. So we choose delimiter, right? So when you choose you want to split maybe a column by a delimiter, it will bring you this window whereby you have to specify the delimiter that you want to use, right? So it depends now with the nature of your column. How has it been separated? Has it been separated by a comma? Has it been separated by a space? And so on. So we have various separators. We have a tab, a space, a semicolon, equal sign, and so on. So if your column is separated by a comma, simply select comma. If it's a space, select space, right? And then after doing that, you simply click on So you now have your original data. So I'm having city on merged column 2, and I'm having state on merged column 1. So I'll simply rename now. So this is a state. And this other one is city, like that. Right? Yeah, so that's how you can merge columns, and also how you can split columns. Yes, someone has a question.
Yes, it's me again. So, mine I've done it, but it's giving like
You chose how you wanted it to be split. You chose which delimiter?
space.
Now you see when you choose space, and so it will, for instance, where there is a space, it will split on each occurrence of the space. So rather, simply undo that and click split by delimiter, and then the separator is the comma, not a space or a tab.
Okay. Where can I find that query? The tab on query settings with those applied steps.
You simply go to view,
Mm-hmm.
and then to your top left, you see we have query settings.
Yes.
Yeah. So click on query settings and see what happens.
Okay, I've seen it. Thank you. Okay. So so you said the delimiter is comma.
Yes.
But when I was merging, I used space. So that's why I'd used space.
Okay. And when you did that, how was the result?
So when I did that, okay, even here it's giving me city state 1 with them the same, and then city state 2 after split null.
Yeah, I'll rather maybe just merge using a delimiter, but use a comma.
Instead of space, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me try, and then maybe if I have a challenge, I will let you know.
Okay. Yeah. So another aspect that maybe you will wish to do when you are doing data transformation is checking the quality of the rows or of the columns. So what you can see beneath each column name, you have the column quality score. For instance, under bank name, you can see valid cases are what? 100%, error 0, empty rows, we do not have empty rows. When we move to the second column, the same. Valid 100, errors 0, empty 0. So if we could be having empty, maybe we could be having empty entries in this data. So it could show here. So under empty, maybe it will give us a percentage of cells that are empty. So if it, for instance, if it's 10%, here we could be seeing 10. The same applies to the other variables, right? So also if you have null values, it will also show.
Excuse me, Flash.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Now, how do you put that view of the just below the?
So it's easier. So you see when you go to view, right? When you go to view, so we have these options for you can see column profile, right? So look at what happens when I click view column profile. For instance, I had selected city, right?
Yes.
I had selected city as my column. So I want to see how it's like doing exploratory data analysis, having a rough view on the contents that are in that field, right? So when you see column profile, for instance, city, you are being told that the count is 568, right? Errors 0, empty. We do not have empty. So we have 436 distinct, unique. There are 361. Yes. So that's viewing column profile. Then if you want to see column quality, you simply come here under view again. You click on column quality. Yeah. So I believe by doing that, you will see under each column, you'll be having now those variables.
Thank you.
Yeah, so with this, you can check for duplicates. So if maybe your column, maybe, or your field has null values, maybe you're having duplicate values, you can check that by viewing the column profile and also by checking the column quality. So maybe if you want to remove them, you simply uncheck. If you don't want to view them, simply uncheck. So if, for instance, we could be having errors in this data and we wish to replace them, right? You simply right click, come here where we have, when you navigate on the drop down, you'll see we have a section whereby you can replace errors. So when you click on replace errors, so you'll have to enter the value which will replace errors in the selected columns. So you'll enter the value here and click on OK. Right? Yeah, if you want to add columns, you can add it also from here. You can add duplicate columns. You can replace values. Also, if you want to do groupings, you can also do that, and so on. Yeah. So I guess up to that point, you have now a rough idea on the use of Power Query. And by now, I believe you know it's important in doing what is called data transformation or data cleaning. So after you've made all of these changes, now it's the time now to implement them or apply those changes to Power BI. So you simply come to Home, you click on Close and Apply. So it is now applying now the changes that we've made. Yeah, so it hasn't worked yet, but that's how you apply the changes after you've made them in Power Query. So after you've loaded, it will now take you to the report view, whereby now you can begin building your reports. Also to the table view, you'll be able to see the changes also that you've made. Yeah, and that's it about Power Query. So unless there's any question up to that point, I wish to stop there. Yes, Selena. Celine, your hand was up.
Hi, Fred.
Yes.
Mine disappeared after said close and apply. I've not seen it anywhere. Like,
It hasn't loaded the data.
no,
So where did it go to?
I have no idea.
So when you click on close and apply it, it is supposed to load and apply the changes that you've made in the data into Power BI.
So when you come to Power BI, how do you view it? Like now, yours, if it loaded, how do you open it from your
So
end?
mine, I believe, because we've stayed for a long time. So remember, we were loading it from the web. Yeah. So it was supposed to load the changes. So if maybe it has loaded successfully, you'll be able to see and you see the report view. Hope you know the three tabs: the report view and the table view. So that's where you'll be able to see that data. And also in the report view to your right, you'll be able to see that data. Hope we are together.
Let me ask something.
Yes.
I close those tabs. My issue is
Yes.
when we merged, it picked the two names, or maybe we added to name the city and the state. But right now, when we separate, I've been able to change that issue that I had like 4 columns. Now I have like the 2 columns, the city and the state. But right now, why does it split but with each the respective column names? The city, state. Now it's giving city, state 1, city, state 2.
So you had merged them into one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So if now it's like now it was under one name. That's like it has created a copy of the other column, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
it's now your work to go and rename each column. So you rename city and then you rename state.
Oh, so it's not that there's a place where you can have
No.
a command give that change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah. So if there is no question, we'll stop there. So I share the other data set. I think we can go through that tomorrow. So it will still be the same topic for data cleaning. So I thought this one could take a shorter time, but unfortunately, it has taken the whole lesson. Yeah, so we'll do that tomorrow. So have a lovely night. See you then.